What's up, everybody? Just getting going here. Trying to check out and make sure we are good on Instagram, we are good on Facebook, and we are good on Periscope. Trying to check my Twitter feed to see if my Periscope is broadcasting. Hopefully it is. If it is, then we will start. We will get moving. Trying to get this position so that we'll be good to go. Is anybody on my Twitter account? Let me make sure that we are live here. We are not. Hang on a second. Let's see, share broadcast. Gotta get this thing live on Twitter. Did it go? Let's see. I don't think so. Here we go. 1 second, we'll get moving here and we will be off and running. Just gonna make sure that it's posted up on Twitter. That's all. Yeah, all right. Okay, so this is, yeah, we're good. Okay. This is the Sunday Swing Live show. I do this every Sunday. Talk about the week that was in social media. Talk about, take some questions, and just talk about hitting, baseball, coaching, player development. My name is Chad Longworth. If you follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you know that I coach and instruct players on a daily basis. I'm pretty active online, so I try to come on here every week and talk about things that happened on mostly Twitter. There's one thing that I want to talk about, and then we're gonna have a guest. If you saw my Twitter this week, Brandon Matthews, he coaches in a college summer league in Virginia. He did some stats over the summer that I thought were really interesting. It was a perfect blend of what I do and what he does coaching on the field. I don't coach on the field. I strictly train players and try to develop their measurable tools. But the one thing I want to talk about, I posted a thing on Billy Hamilton today. Billy Hamilton hitting 237 on ground balls this year. If there's no other proof that you shouldn't be hitting the ball on the ground, the fastest player in baseball is hitting 237 on balls on the ground. I think it's a great disservice for players that can run, that are told that they should hit the ball on the ground and use their speed. The most dangerous players on the field are the players that can get themselves in the batter's box or get themselves in scoring position out of the batter's box. If you're fast enough to beat out a ground ball single, then you're fast enough to turn a single into a double into a triple. If you are a fast player, get the ball off the ground. It's really not smart if you have speed as a tool to be hitting the ball on the ground. Billy Hamilton's a perfect example. He's hitting 237 on balls on the ground. Get the ball up off the ground. Practice getting the ball up off the ground. Line drives, elevated line drives, between 10 and 20 degrees. That's the formula. Hit the ball hard and hit the ball off the ground. But other than that, I'm going to give Brandon a call. We're going to chat about his summer league. Talked to him earlier today. Told him I would be calling him a little bit after 9 o'clock. And hopefully the sound will be good. So we'll give this a go. It may be a weekly thing that we have a guest. I don't know. We'll see. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Let me know if you can hear the phone. Can everybody hear the phone okay?
Hello?
Brandon.
Hey, Chad, how's it going?
What's going, man? How are you?
Doing well.
So, we talked earlier today, and I was just kind of outlining a little bit about you and a little bit about what you did this summer, and a little bit about a lot of people that follow me on Twitter may have read the study that you did this summer. So take a minute, just a minute, Brandon, and kind of tell everybody about you. Tell them about the team, tell them about the league, and then we can go from there.
Well, I'm from North Carolina, small town, northeastern North Carolina. Been coaching ball for probably the past 10 or 11 years, ever since my playing career ended. Last 3 summers, really been heavily involved into collegiate summer baseball. Full-time job, I teach high school, and I coach with my brother-in-law here in Gates County, North Carolina. I'd say the past 4 years, I've really got a passion for hitting, and kind of had some eye-opening experiences with some other hitting coaches and things like that. And this summer, I was working with the MidAtlantic Collegiate League in Virginia Beach, and we do a really good job of giving players an avenue to develop their skill set. You know, I've heard people talking about, ground balls and fly balls and this and that and the other. So I decided to take this summer in our collegiate league and just track all of our batted ball events and kind of try to figure out, what's happening, where are we getting our results from, and things like that.
For sure, and we talked about this earlier, but a lot of the feedback that you get online, a lot of the firestorm, a lot of the blowback that you get from people is, especially when I share the numbers and the data from the Major League Baseball, a lot of the pushback you get is, well, the Major League Baseball's game is different from high school and college. I'd like to see those stats. And really what's interesting to me about what you did is that you took the initiative to do the best statistical analysis that you could, especially on the value of ground balls and fly balls. Could you talk about, and in that study, for those of you that read it, the title of it was Top of the Cage Rebellion, or part of the title was Top of the Cage Rebellion, which I fully appreciate. Could you talk a little bit about your developmental approach with the college guys that you have come in the summer, and even your high school guys, as far as your team goes? Talk a little bit about maybe the development approach that you took with them in that Top of the Cage Rebellion kind of practice model, I guess is maybe a good way to put it.
All right, I'll talk about my high school kids first, and then lead into what I've been doing with my summer collegiate teams. At the high school level, really started deeply the past 2 seasons in our fall program. We have our hitters come in, and we've been measuring exit velocities, and we've been getting them in the weight room and trying to get gains there. With our hitting philosophy, we've really worked on putting launch angles in the batting cages and doing a base test of each kid's exit velos with all the data that's coming out with diamond kinetics, swing tracker sensors, and things like that. You can really understand the why between some of the best swings at the college level or at the MLB level or even at the high school level, now that we know what launch angles are and we know what exit velocities are producing, what types of batting averages at different launch angles. So what we've done with our high school guys is we've measured each guy's exit velo. We'll take those numbers at the beginning of the fall. We'll put them on a weighted bat program where we're overloading 20%, we're underloading 20%. There's been numerous weighted bat studies that have been done. So, I mean, you can Google search and find numerous articles that support the data behind it and the science behind it. But we've taken our guys the past 2 years through a good fall program of lifting weights and weighted bats, and we've usually averaged about 5-mile-an-hour increase on exit velos. And we know data says the harder you hit the ball, the better chance you're going to have success. Well, you got the typical, in high school, hit the ball on the ground, you probably have more success because guys aren't that good. They're not MLB players. They're going to make errors and things like that. But honestly, you're just hoping that a guy's going to get on base because the other team's going to make a mistake, so you're not controlling your own destiny, really. So we train our hitters in the batting cages, hit the ball hard, and hit the ball as hard as you can in the air. But it's unique to each player. We're not just sitting here saying hit can of corn, fly balls to left field, center field, right field, or anything like that. If I've got a kid with a 70-mile-an-hour exit velo, I know where he needs to be training to have success at that moment. And obviously we have goals where we want them to grow, and we want them to develop each year to hopefully be an elite-type hitter with a 90-plus exit velo by the time they graduate high school and go off to college. But if I've got a kid with an 85, 90-mile-an-hour exit velo as a senior, obviously his launch angle goal is going to be a little bit different because he's that guy that can put the ball over the fence. But every kid, no matter their speed, no matter their size, can hit the ball on a line drive 220 feet and find success, whether he's in high school, whether he's in college, whether he's in MLB. I heard you talking about Billy Hamilton earlier, about the ground balls and the fly balls and how his batting average had dropped on grounders. And I'm looking, online recently. D1 college baseball, the worst fielding percentage in the nation was 93%. So you're sitting there saying 9 times out of 10 they're going to catch a ground ball. And I'm at a coach's clinic in North Carolina a couple of weeks ago, and Duke University's head coach is there, and he just happened to be talking about pitching. And he's training all of his pitchers, as every pitching coach is, get ground balls because 70% of ground balls are out, is exactly what the guy says. So we've taken the philosophy of, top of the cage, and in my collegiate summer league, I said, well, I just want to put some numbers together. I want to see what happens through the course of our 5-week season on our ground ball versus fly ball ratio. So I'm the guy that's coaching third base in collegiate summer ball, and I've got a lineup card in my hand. And it's not per se to make changes. I'm writing down everything my hitters do for every game that we played. And the MidAtlantic Collegiate League here in Norfolk, Virginia Beach does a good job of getting our guys down here and taking care of them for 5 weeks. We play 6 games a week. And we trained every day from 12 to 1 o'clock at the Norfolk Baseball Academy, which is a pretty good indoor facility. And I told my guys, I said, I'm not here to change your swing mechanics or anything like that. I'm just here to try to make you get the best out of this summer that you can get. So we're having challenges. And if you know anything about collegiate summer ball, guys want money because, they want a good meal. They want this and that and the other. They're far away from home. So every time I got paid, we'd have a hitting competition. And the winner would get $20. Well, those hitting competitions might be who can hit the most hard hit balls at a certain exit velocity over left center, who can hit them over center field, who can hit them over right field. So we're having these different challenges, whether it be tee work, front toss work, different drills, overhand BP, whatever the case may be. And we'd hit from 12 to 1 every day. We'd overload bats, we'd underload bats, we'd just have guys intentionally trying to hit the ball hard over the shortstop's head, hit the ball hard over the center fielder's head, over the second baseman's head, etc. So in our games, I'm out there writing down everything that we're doing. And if a guy, flies out to second base with an F4, I consider that a fly ball because it's in the air. And if a guy grounds out to shortstop 6'3", I'm writing it down. So over the course of the summer, I tracked everybody's batted ball event and got some pretty good results where people want to say at the MLB level, you got the best fielder, so you probably don't want to hit it on the ground as much. Well, I can tell you, at the college level, with a good variety of D1 all the way down to JUCO players, a good mixture in there of all talent levels, you're going to want to hit the ball hard on the line drive to get the most success because according to the results that I found, we had greater success, we had greater slugging, we scored more runs when we were driving the ball in the air.
No question. That doesn't come to a surprise to me. So I think my general stance on that is sure the percentages of things may be higher in the major leagues, or the batting averages or the velocities may be higher, but I think all levels, all mature levels of baseball, high school, college, they work on the same bell curve. they work on the same curve. The numbers may not be exactly what they are in the major leagues. For example, you hit a ball. I'm trying to think right off the top of my head the chart that I shared today. But you hit a ball like 88 miles an hour, and your batting average is 240 in the major leagues. Well, that may be the mid range in college. But the curve is still the same. You may go down in college to 80 batted balls where your average is 240. But the launch angle curve to me is the same. The value of just getting the ball, I think that what you said as far as gauging hitting the ball in the air 220 feet. I think sometimes people get lost in exactly what launch angles are per se. But when you think about it in terms of distance, that all players can hit the ball 220 feet. If you're starting on a high school team, definitely a college team, but more than likely you can hit the ball 220 feet in the air. And so the value of that and the value of practicing that is certainly, to no surprise to me, certainly more valuable in a game than again hitting the ball on the ground and hoping the defense kicks it around or whatever. I use the analogy a lot to people that say that. That's the same thing, and football season is getting ready to be on everybody's mind, but that's the same thing as saying we're not going to block any of the defensive linemen and hoping that the other team just misses tackles. I mean, it's not a strategy. It's not a plan. It's not an approach. It's just hoping that the other team messes up and you can take advantage of it instead of, like you said, controlling your own destiny. So one of my questions, and you kind of answered it, but one of the questions that I had was what did you use to compile your data for your league? And you said you just used a pencil and a piece of paper, and then I guess you sat down after the games and put it all together, Excel spreadsheet. I mean, did you keep it in something, or just pencil and paper and the old school way?
Well, what I did during every game, and like I said, I kind of touched on that. I'm over there with my lineup card in my back pocket. I got a stopwatch. So I'm your traditional third base coach in collegiate summer ball, except for I'm tracking a lot of data that most people are probably not doing in summer baseball. So I'm writing down everything my guys are doing, and when I get home from a game, I'm entering their quality at bats, and then I'm entering their ground ball results, and I'm entering their fly ball results. And I would do that in a simple Google spreadsheet, and I'd keep tally of it all throughout the summer. And just to give a little bit of the data, at the end of the summer, we use Game Changer to track all of our games. So some of this stuff was a little bit easier to keep track of by going back to that as well. But just to make sure what I wanted to measure was accurate, I was writing down everything my guys were doing, and I was entering it in my own spreadsheet when I would get home from a game. And I'd keep all of this information throughout the summer, and I kind of compiled it all together once we finished our summer season. And I put guys in two groups. What I considered guys who were hitting the ball on the ground more than 40% of the time, and guys who hit the ball in the air more than 40% of the time. And when you broke them up, it just so happened to be they were in eight. It was 8 in one group and 8 in the other group, so that just happened to work out pretty good for me. And our batting average with the 8 guys who hit the ball on the ground more than 40% of the time was a team average of 240. We only slugged 294, and we only hit 9 doubles. If you look at the guys who had 40% or more contact in the air, we hit 301, we slugged 510, and we hit 30 doubles. We hit 21 home runs this summer, and 20 of those home runs were in the group that hit the ball in the air more than 40% of the time. If you just look at one single game, and I pinpointed this one out just because it was a playoff game and it had a lot of value to it. So, in collegiate summer ball, usually guys are rotating, they're sharing reps and things like that. But once you get into the postseason, you've pretty much figured out what your best defense is, what your best pitching is. So I wanted to really take a look at our playoff game because I know the other teams put their best on the field. So in the playoffs, we had 27 batted ball events. And out of those 27 batted ball events, 20 were in the air, 7 were on the ground. We hit successfully on 8 out of those 20 in the air, and 5 of those 8 actually went for extra base hits, and 2 of them were home runs. So 63% of those went for extra bases, and the ground ball rate of success was only 1 out of 7, and that was a single through the 5-6 hole.
And that was, that's against conventional thinking is guys are throwing harder, guys that have better stuff. You got to cut your swing down and do less. But what you're finding is it's even more important, especially against guys that are better, to get to your approach being, we're trying to get the most value out of every contact, every batted ball event, every swing that we can take. We're trying to maximize our potential value of that swing. I think what you saw and what would be my understanding is the better the guys get, the more you have to maximize every opportunity to drive the ball, for sure. What I think, and the reason I asked that question is that I would like to see, especially in my world, because I'm not a guy that's on the field all the time, I would like to see more guys like you take this approach and do their own data and do their own research and take a legitimate stance on their offensive philosophy and not just subjective opinion. I think this, and you're this kind of player, kind of cornering players, letting players develop their, and helping them. Like you said, you guys sounds like you're doing a tremendous job with understanding where value of hitters comes from, and developing those things, as far as in the weight room, with a weighted bat program, tracking exit velocities and getting exit velocity gains. Exit velocity is such an important factor when developing players, because there is such statistical, the statistical data that indicates the harder you hit the ball, the better your batting average, the better your slugging, the better your weighted on base percentage is. Now, we can go round and round and round and round forever about ground ball, fly ball. I know where I stand, but I think everybody can get on board with hitting the ball harder should be a goal for everyone. Hitting the ball harder and higher is that's the gold standard to me. I would love to see, and I would love to even just network with people in the community of guys that want to take Brandon's approach and share the college data and share the high school data, because it's valuable in all the coaching community. It's really why I wanted to have Brandon here, is to talk about what he did, to kind of give the coaches that watch this ideas about how they can do it, because they need to do it. And then I think we need to try to figure out how we can all get the data together and share it on high school levels and share it on college levels, and just do the best we can at coming together for the betterment of I think I know why I'm in this. I think I know why you're in this. And it's for the betterment of players, and to try to help players get better answers than what you had, what I had, and help them become, better than what I was, or what you were, or whatever. Help them achieve things that we did not. So, Brandon, let me ask you this: where do you see your approach? Because the summer was the first time you actually did this, right?
Yeah, this summer was the first time I actually tracked the ground ball versus fly ball, batted ball events to see what the numbers actually turned out to be.
So do you see your development approach with your high school guys, the guys that you're around a lot more, obviously, but do you see your approach changing in any way, as far as things that you'll put more value on that maybe you didn't before, or ideas that maybe you didn't have before that you will take out of the research that you did, or you just, pretty much reinforces what you already knew and will continue to do what you're doing?
This kind of verified what I was 75% sure to be true. I guess is the best way to put it. I'm big on data, and I'm big on proving, not just having an opinion, but can you prove it? I guess, and I've always said, this is one small sample size, so I'm not saying this is the end all be all and things like that. However, this is something that I plan on gathering as much information as I can. Like, for example, this high school season, I'm going to do a better job of tracking information and tracking data. I'm going to continue to do it each summer that I'm involved with the Collegiate Summer League, and I'd like to see where everything comes out after about 5 years worth of data. And if I'd bet my paycheck that the numbers are going to fall in favor of hard ball in the air.
Yeah, no question about that. And I would love to help facilitate a wider scale compiling of the data that Brandon has taken. Again, just for the betterment of the community, because again, I train players. I'm looking at computer screens and again compiling my own weightlifting data, my own exit velocity data, our throwing program data, but I never get to see games. I never get to be on the field. And really, and Brandon, you probably know this, sometimes the relationship between the people that do what I do and the people that do what you do is not always the best. And so finding people that are interested in what you're doing, that really is tremendously valuable in what I do, and having those relationships is something that's really interesting to me, for sure, because I think we all can add value to one another. I look at HitTrax data all day, and I'm developing my own weighted bat, deadlift, weight training programs, and to help those measurable things. But at the end of the day, my players go play for their high school coaches, and I don't have a lot of influence outside of that. So what you're doing is awesome. There was one question that I had on my list that I didn't get to. How did you gauge the reaction of the players? Did they know what you were doing? And in that, as far as allowing them the freedom to explore, I guess, outcomes, is how did they react to that? Because players a lot of players that I deal with, and certainly college players are a little better than high school players, but a lot of players that I deal with are often just waiting for someone to tell them what to do. I said 1,000 times that players most players don't even know they should be digging for anything. Their expectation is that somebody's going to tell them what to do on every move they make, and they don't even know they have the freedom, or they don't even know they should be digging to find things out about themselves. How did your guys? Did they know what you were doing statistically, and if so, even I think we touched on it, but even the freedom that you gave them in the cage, what was their reaction?
They were surprised at first with what we were doing on a daily basis. When I say we came in from 12 to 1 and worked, it was a relaxed work environment, but it was probably different from what they were used to for the most part, because each kid had the freedom to, if you want a front toss, if you want overhand DP, if you want T work. But we I threw the weighted bats at them, and for most of them, it was the first time they'd experienced with it. But when I gave them an article that went along with the results of training with weighted bats, it got them nature, it really sparked their curiosity. So their training intent when they come in and work for an hour each day started improving, or I guess it started changing. They're checking their data when we're in the cages. They're checking their exit velos. They're looking to see, where am I hitting the ball relative to the L screen, relative to the cage, and things like that. What they used to think was a typical pop up, they're thinking, well, that's probably a double in the game now. But I never thought about it that way. So it started changing the way they were thinking and changing their approach to hitting. For the most part, these guys were very willing to take a little bit more accountability for their own swing a little bit, instead like you waiting for somebody to tell them, hey, this is what you need to do. We never taught mechanics all summer, because it's not my job to take a kid, change his mechanics or anything like that, and send him back to school B or school A or wherever he came from and make him a different hitter. That's not my job in the summer. We just talked about approach, where we want the ball to go, where do you hit the ball, how can you hit the ball the hardest, how can you do the most damage, and they took the information and they ran with it, and they became a lot more accountable for their swings, and they seemed to enjoy the things we were doing on a daily basis.
I can imagine that I can imagine their surprise in the beginning, but like you said, I think young players, call them kids, call them whatever. I think in today's world, technology, data, statistical things that back what you're trying to do interest them a lot. And so, especially college players, that's been my experience with training college players, is once you give them the what, or the how, or the why behind what you're asking them to do, generally it piques their curiosity, and again, hitting and coaching hitters and coaching offense and coaching players in general, oftentimes is about having a continuous conversation. Coaching hitters is about having a continuous great conversation with depth and specific to their needs. Like I like to let hitters lead the direction of the conversation. Especially if they're coming to me face to face. Is what do you need? Like, don't come to me and expect me to tell you how to hit. Like what do you need, and what do you feel like you have going on, and what do you feel like you need to happen, and so, like you said, giving them that freedom is certainly a good thing for them. I think cutting their legs off and just telling them what they're doing wrong. Jay, I don't know if you follow Jason Ochart, but I think it was Ochart that was saying that one of the worst things that you can have as a hitter or as a hitting coach is after every swing, what did I do wrong? What am I doing wrong? And you just want to avoid that kind of thinking, especially when you're trying to do something as difficult and complex as hitting a baseball. Certainly being overly internal becomes problematic, because you're not focused in the right way to execute the outcome, like you said. Brandon, tell one more time. Tell everybody about the league. College players that may be watching or may see this later on YouTube. Tell them about the league, and tell them how to get maybe in touch with you on Twitter, or the best way to maybe get in touch with you if you want to share your email on here, or whatever you want to do. Just tell about the league, and tell them how they can get in touch with you.
Well, we'll be entering our third season next summer, the MidAtlantic Collegiate League. We're based in Norfolk, Virginia. The AAA for the Baltimore Orioles is about 5 minutes down the road. We're in a very good area, 20 minutes away from the beach. We play 6 games a week, and we give guys a unique opportunity to really develop. We're a development-focused summer league where we play short season, 5 weeks, 25 to 30 games. give you time to rest up and go back home before you go back to school in the fall, where you're not playing until August 14th and then checking into school on August 15th. But we pride ourselves in development. Every team has a workout slot or a skill development slot at the Norfolk Baseball Academy, which is right there by all of our playing sites. We're 10 to 15 minutes away from every field. You get work in there, weight room access, speed and agility work, basically whatever you want to do that summer. If you want to gain 20 pounds in 6 weeks and try to bulk up, if you want to get faster, if you want to get stronger, if you want to be a better hitter, better infielder, you're going to get work 6 days a week. You get one off day to kind of enjoy the town. We work in the daytime. When I say we work, we go skill development. We play in the evenings, and we really do a good job of helping players. I'll start recruiting for next season, probably about the beginning of September. Follow me on Twitter, bmat0416. That's probably the best way to get in touch with me if you're watching this. From there, we can exchange information, and I'm looking for players who are eager to work and have a good attitude and really enjoy the game of baseball the way that I do.
For sure, man, and I will share the research that Brandon did again on my account. Maybe tonight. If not tonight, then tomorrow. And if you want to dig through my account I've shared it twice in the last 3 or 4 days. If you want to look for it, you can follow Brandon and you can check out that study and research that he did. Brandon, I appreciate it, man. I'm going to stay on for a few minutes. I'm going to unpack and talk about a couple of things that he talked about that are really, really good points that actually I posted about today on my Twitter account. Brandon, I appreciate it, man. Again, I'll post Brandon's contact info and reach out to him if you're looking for a place to develop and play in the summer. All right, Brandon. Thanks, bud.
Thanks, Chad. Have a good one.
All right, you too. So that was really, really good. Robbie, I can see your stuff. I just didn't want to interrupt him. Sorry. I will take a few questions at the end, but one of the things I wanted to talk about and unpack a little bit about what he was saying was he said there at one point that he didn't talk to hitters much about their mechanics. And if you saw the article that I posted today about knowledge of performance and knowledge of performance and knowledge of results, learning of motor skills, and I think it's a great combination. Learning to hit they did a study and they gave knowledge of performance is the understanding, I guess, the how of the result, how you did it, internal cueing, movement, and then they gave one group just that, and then the other group was only instructed to focus on the outcomes only. That's knowledge of result, knowledge of performance, knowledge of result. What they saw was the people that took the knowledge of performance approach had more gains, and I want to say that the study was done maybe in golf. I can't. It was a stick and ball sport. It might have been tennis. But the knowledge of performance people actually had better results than the knowledge of results people, which also got results. Not to say the knowledge of result people did not get better, but the knowledge of performance people got better results. Now, is that an indication that I told you so, they don't need to? No. Okay, I think a good model, and I posted this, is having understanding the basic parameters of the movements that you are trying to produce outcomes with. Certainly there are parameters of movement. Like, you can't just do whatever and expect your body to organize efficiently within that movement. It won't. But if you understand the basic parameters of what you're trying to execute, then I think the knowledge of results, the exit velocity feedback, the launch angle feedback, the feedback out on the field, hitting the ball 220 feet, becomes infinitely more valuable. And then everybody in the planet's got a phone. Take your phone and video yourself hitting or whatever, and then look at it, like study it. That's knowledge of performance feedback. When we do the hit tracks work, everybody that has the hit tracks access, they can watch their own videos. You know, the Hittrack's got an app that they can get their videos in, so they can study themselves and not wait for a coach to tell you what to do, because I know coaches want to do that, and they want to insert their authorities, but it's your career, and you need to understand what it's going to take to get the most out of your ability. You can't wait for people to tell you what to do. That's just knowledge of performance, knowledge of results, and he didn't talk much about their mechanics, because your mechanics are going to organize efficiently within the parameters of that you've set yourself in. And what I mean by parameters, I mean hinging, coiling, spacing, those things, not, you know, hands inside. The old tired baseball cues that have been used for 30 years that don't really answer anything. They're just things that coaches say, I guess, to insert their intellectual ability or their experience or how good they are, whatever. I think the one other thing that I wanted to point out that he said, and then I'll take some questions. We've got some people still watching. The development focused college summer league. If you are a college player or a high school player looking to play in college, and you don't do your homework on the school you're going to, or if you're a college player not doing your homework on the league you're going to play in, and understanding where they stand developmentally for your sake, that is on you. That is your mistake. Look for schools that take this approach. This stuff is happening. I've got to believe there's schools at all levels that are taking this approach that Brandon talked about, and allowing players freedoms and backing the philosophy with data and analytics, and not the same old tired coaching opinion. It's my entire narrative of the internet, is to give players and coaches ideas to help players develop to the best of their abilities. Having the opportunity to play in a developmental focused college summer league is huge. I suggest that you look into what Brandon's doing and reach out to him and see if maybe there's an opportunity to play for that in that environment, especially as a position player. You will not at all regret it. We had college guys in the facility this summer that got more value from inside of the facility with live at-bats on the HitTracks than they would have gotten playing in a college summer league in podunk nowhere, where they're left their own accord to figure it out, and without any kind of framework and without any kind of accountability. Just take that into consideration when you're trying to make decisions on what you're going to do next. Are there any questions? Are there any questions about Brandon or about what's been going on Twitter, or what I've been talking about, or anything of that nature? Any questions? We're live on Periscope, Twitter. We're live on Facebook. Again, I wanted to try Facebook again. It's still not been what I want it to be. And we're live on Instagram, which has been pretty good again this week. Is anybody got any questions? Do you know any specific schools taking this approach? A couple. We could, if you will reach out to me in a direct message, we can certainly talk about it. We can certainly start to compile a list of schools taking an approach like this on Twitter. Wake Forest, definitely. Wake Forest, if you followed the Wake Forest narrative, Wake Forest is on the up and rising. My facility is in Virginia. It's in the middle of nowhere, Virginia, down in the corner of Virginia and Tennessee. Do you have any material overload and underload? I have an underload and overload program that we train our hitters with. Workout programs is in my player development program. My player development program is available on my website. It's $125 for a year's worth of access, and that's like $10 a month. roughly, and you get access to all the updates. I actually put a hitting discussion and a player development discussion message board on the website this week. So if you're in the player development program, then go over to the log into your account, flip over to the discussion boards, and we'll have private conversations there. So I wanted to put more access in that. There's more content going in that too. What city in Virginia? It's in a little town called Wise, and also work in a place called Bristol, Tennessee. Also, I travel, so I'll be in Charlotte at the end of August 26th or 27th, doing a private clinic, and we'll see what we can get worked out in Charlotte. I'll go back to Myrtle Beach probably in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Got a couple more things traveling, bat speed, player development clinics. In the player development clinic, what that is just I come to you and I unpack and outline the entire training program. I give you access to the training program. I bring the hit tracks. I bring the entire Velo lab to you. I set it up, and we go through the player development program, and then you get access to the training programs, the online training programs that I use in the facility to train players, and it's all backed by the data and research that I have hit track. I have hit tracks. I have diamond kinetics. I have video, and we track exit velocities over 3, 6, 12-month periods, and adjust the program. It's on youth kids, intermediates, and college players. It's online. Check it out. South Texas. I can come to South Texas. I'd love to come to. I'll go anywhere. I will go anywhere. So if you're interested in a clinic and me coming to you, just reach out to me on my website. I got open DMs. We talked about that before. What exit velocity is good for softball players. We've talked about softball players on here before. Softball, so if you're going to hit homers, you got to be above 65 miles an hour roughly and 30 degrees. You get up above 65 miles an hour and you get up in the 30-degree range, you're going to be hitting homers, and it's not that difficult. I'd love to come to Pittsburgh. Again, I'll come wherever. Just reach out. We'll schedule it up, and we'll go through the costs and everything to have me travel to you. I think it's very reasonably. So I said this. So what you will pay for me to come to you as a player, I give you access to the program online that costs $125. If I come to you and do a clinic, it costs $100, so you come out $25 to the good. So it's really a wash. I come to you and I show you all the player development program. It costs you $100. You have to set up the facility, pay for travel, pay for lodging and things like that. But for $100, and I give you free access for year access to the player development programs, it's a pretty good deal. I feel like, anyway. If you think it's a terrible deal and you think you could come up with a better deal, reach out to me. I'm still in development mode of this whole thing, trying to reach as many people as I can reach. Are there any other questions? Periscope been quiet tonight again. I don't know what's going on there. Instagram been pretty good. Instagram's been pretty good a lot here lately, though. Are there any other questions? I'm gonna jump over and do a quick live Q&A. If you are in the player development online coaching program, I created a secret Facebook group. I'm gonna jump over there and get in and do a quick Q&A, answer training questions for the week, and then again I'll be back here on Tuesday, just doing the 2-minute Tuesday talk. Quick 2 minutes, just things that come up in the building, insight, coaching, training, whatever. Are there any other questions? There's nothing on Periscope, so I'm going to be off on Periscope and Facebook. I'll hang out just a few more minutes on Instagram because we seem to be asking good questions there. So my name is Chad Longworth, and this is the Sunday Swings live show. It will post on my YouTube channel. If you don't subscribe to me on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, C Long Baseball, Follow me on there, and then my YouTube channel. Just search my name on YouTube. You'll get a lot of stuff there. I appreciate you watching, and I'm gonna jump off and get on and stay on Twitter for a few minutes. Thanks. Finish that one.